and happy Wisdom Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning in and for choosing to spend some of your time with me. I'm Maria Milagros, and this is a little space I like to carve out to share different tips, tools, techniques, stories, anecdotes, nuggets, whatever I can to help myself, to help you, to help us collectively, individually and collectively, move the needle, even if it's 1 degree at a time, to get to those new levels of health and happiness. So during the month of June, we're talking about different ways to deal with stress. And I want to just recap the previous videos by letting us know that 1, stress happens to everyone, that 2, not all stress is bad, and that 3, when we acknowledge that challenges and failures, mistakes, obstacles, those types of things are an everyday occurrence in our everyday lives, we are less likely when we bump up against them to feel like we're just like, that's it, it's over, everything's going to come undone, because we recognize that that's just a part of life, right? And the reality is that if everything was smooth sailing all the time, we would be bored. We need challenges to provide us with opportunities to use our creativity, to use our problem-solving skills, maybe to use our experiences or our education. We need that. How do we know what we're capable of doing until we bump up against something? Now, I'm not saying that everything should be a struggle. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that we need to suffer. There's a difference between having a moment that's an obstacle or a challenge and then dragging that out into a space of suffering. So I'm not talking about the suffering, I'm talking about the challenge. I personally, as a fitness instructor and as someone who enjoys working out, I like the challenge of trying to add more reps or picking up heavier weights because it brings me physically to that next level and it challenges my capacities. I then developed this mindset that says, if I can do that here in these small spaces, increase the challenges to continue to build more strength, why can't that translate to every other arena of my life? Well, it can and it does. And studies have shown that it can and it does. So that was the first video. And the second video, I talked about choices and how when we find ourselves being faced with choices, rather than get ourselves too caught up in what's the right choice, because a lot of times we think about what is right based on what other people, the community, or our greater society has deemed as the standard for what is right versus what is right here. So for me, I like to disconnect from this question, what is the right thing to do? And instead, I like to ask what feels like peace for me at this time in my life, because it might not fit the standard. And it might not fit what other people may or may not believe is the best thing for my life. It's what I know to be true about what's right for me, who I am, where I'm headed, what my goals are, what my intentions and my core values are, where am I headed, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and otherwise. And is this choice in alignment with that? Does it feel like peace, right? And then the second part was that when we do make a choice, choose it fully. Choose it fully. This was a revelation to me many years ago. I was going to a family event. And I felt like I was obligated, like I had to go. There was a lot of family pressure to be a part of this event. And I had decided, no, I'm not going because I don't enjoy myself. At this particular type of event, a lot of people get drunk. I don't drink, and I don't enjoy being around people who are drunk. And then I'm the designated driver for all these people, and it's not my responsibility nor my job. I can't, and it's too stress-inducing for me. So I chose my choice fully. And I stood in it fully. And when people afterwards said, I can't believe you weren't there. And I said, it's not my thing. I'm not going anymore. And the more that I stood in my choice, the more I could feel myself standing in my power. And then they also saw, you don't get to bully me into a decision that works for you. I have to do what's best for me. And on the flip side of that, there was an event that I went to that I wasn't super excited about, but I went to the event and I decided since I'm choosing this, I'm going to choose it fully and I'm going to make the most of it. And I did, and it ended up being a really great time, right? So when we choose our choices, choose them fully. If you make a choice, go all in. Go all in, because either it's going to be great or you're going to realize like, I should have stayed my butt at home and listened to my instincts that was telling me to stay my butt at home. That's part of the learning and the growing and the figuring out, because learning how to make the best decisions for ourselves and that stress that comes with that happens in the process of doing, right? So we have to be willing to do and to miss the mark and to ebb and flow through in and out of it to go, oh, I see what I did. Okay, now I know what to do over here, right? So being able to do that more consistently reduces our stress because now we know how to make better choices, which reduces stress. Today I want to talk about community. Specifically, I just read a 2002 study that says social support bolsters resilience in stressful situations, right? So in speaking about community, there are now studies that prove that if you have a support system, even if it's 3 or 4 people, it should not be one person. That's generally an unhealthy codependent relationship. But if you have a collective, even if it's a small group of people who support each other, that in and of itself helps reduce stress, because then you know that when a situation pops off, if you are not capable of using your creativity, your education, your problem solving skills to deal with it, you have a collective that you can access. Now, what then that brings us to is the stress of asking for help. And a lot of times people don't ask for help for 3 main reasons. 1, there's a fear of rejection. What if the person says no? My response to that is the answer is already no by you not asking, right? You're already doing it solo. So you might as well ask for help. And if they say no, you were already doing it solo anyways, right? And they might say no because they literally don't have the capacity or the bandwidth, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, or whatever, to actually help you. Or they might be saying no because really they don't want to help. Either of those is information. Because if you have someone who's consistently saying no, that they're not available, they're not able to help you, that's important information for you to weigh to decide how you're going to show up and if you're going to continue to show up in that relationship and that dynamic. Is it a one-way relationship, right? The second reason why people are afraid to ask for help is because they have this fear that they're going to be imposing on someone else. I do this all the time. I'm still working on the process of asking for help, and it is an ongoing process for me because for a long time I didn't ask for help, right? And so when I ask for help, I have to sidestep, or rather talk to these dialogues that are happening in my head. She's so busy, she's got so much going on, she's got the kids, she's got the this, she's got the that. Don't ask, don't ask, don't ask. And then what happens is I'll say to this person, oh, I went through this really hard time, and they're like, why didn't you talk to me? Because you're so busy. They're like, oh my gosh, stop it. I will make room because you're important. And that was really important for me to hear, having someone else say, you're important. Now, if I have this small collective, this support system, I know that in this support system, I am important, which means I'm not dependent on them 24/7. I'm not always asking for everything, and I'm not always whining and complaining. I might use that space to vent, and there is a difference between complaining and venting. Complaining is wah, wah, poor me. Venting is, I feel this, here's the situation, I need clarity, so that I can find a solution. There's a difference, right? So if I go to that person and I say, how is your schedule? Do you have time? I need help. More likely than not, people go, oh my gosh, yeah, let's figure it out. Let's put it on the calendar. Let's make some time. I can come by now. What are you doing? We have to ask, rather than just assume that they don't have time for us or that we become an imposition. Ask. And if they say no, then maybe their lives are full, for real, truly. And if they're consistently saying no, that gives you information, right? But we have to get better practice at honoring this idea of rejection as redirection and this idea of imposition as an opportunity to be included, right? And then when the third reason why people don't generally ask for help is because of this do-it-yourself, self-made, pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of mentality. And I just watched this docuseries with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I like working out. What do you want me to say? I liked it. And at the end, he said, you can call me this, you can call me that, you can call me this, you can call me that, but don't ever call me self-made. Because even though I had the vision and I had the intrinsic motivation, I could not have done any of this by myself. There were all these people all along the way, some for short amount of times, some for long amount of times, who helped me, who gave me resources, who taught me, who gave me a chance, right? This idea that we have to do it ourselves and be self-made is not real. It just comes from that kind of capitalist, patriarchal mentality of pull yourself up by your bootstraps, which again is not even real. If you ever try to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you fall down. Literally, it is not real. So we have to just acknowledge when we feel that, when we can say that out loud, like I have this mentality that I have to do it by myself, I can then address that fear and say, actually, I don't have to do it by myself. Nobody who's ever gotten anywhere has ever done it by themselves. That's not real. Anybody who has ever achieved greatness, either in their own lives, in their families, or in a bigger space, has needed other people to help them along the way. I need other people to help myself along the way. I sent out an email a couple of months ago after my grandmother passed, and I'm like, I need my supports. I need people to hire me. I want to help people, and I need to be able to ask for that and say it out loud in order for people to know that, one, I'm available, and two, that it's what I need, right? That was one of the hardest emails for me to send. And once I did, I realized, oh, I'm still here. I didn't die. I got to connect, and I used my collective. And from that, I was able to garner a lot of people who were like, thank you for sharing that. Either I'm going to send out your information and make a referral, or I'm going to join myself, or I'm going to hire you for something, right? And it's not something that I'm going to be doing all the time, but now I feel like, oh, I can do that. I can say, hey, hi, I'm here. I need help in some capacity. Thank you so much. And then I reached out to my smaller network of people outside of my intimate network and said, hey, do you have any referrals? And it helped. So we have to get better at using our community as a way to combat stress. There is a social psychologist who works for Stanford, and she had her study published in Psychology Science, where basically it was, we have to get better at asking for help. Here are the reasons why people don't ask for help, which are the 3 reasons why I shared with you today. And here's what happens when you do ask for help. You lower your blood pressure. You lower your cortisol. You lower your mental fogginess. You increase your clarity, right? You increase your body's serotonin and dopamine because you're getting those relational hits that make you feel good, which then, because you have less cortisol in your brain and you have more serotonin and dopamine, you have more clarity and you're better able to make decisions and make choices for yourself. And all of it becomes a beautiful cycle. A lot of times when we talk about stress management, we talk about it from this standpoint, which, yes, I have to know what's happening in my body and take care of my body and my mind in order to move forward from that place. But also, I have to be willing to be relational. We are designed to be relational. I have to be willing to connect to my community. And it doesn't always have to be asking for help with your business or asking for a resource. Sometimes it could just be an ear, or like, what are you doing? Let's go for a walk. Being connected, like close to another physical body, has amazing, it builds resilience in our bodies and in our minds, right? Okay, I could keep going, but I'm going to go ahead and stop because I realized I've hit my marker. So if you find that this information is helpful, please share it with someone. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, and let me know in the comments, or you can shoot me an email. If you do shoot me an email, please give me a couple of days, if not more, to get back to you, because I do get a lot of emails, and I do try to respond thoughtfully in the middle of coaching and speaking and doing all my things and being a mom, right? So give me a couple of days to get back to you, and I will respond. How do you use your community? And I would even recommend, as a journaling prompt, sitting down and writing, who is my community? And again, I consider part of so I have my inner community, my really intimate community, my internal community, and then my external community. And part of my external community is like the people who work at the post office, right? I have a P.O. box there for my business. I know them. I interact with them. I see them. I connect with them. The other day I brought them cookies, right? Like, this is my external community. And when I stop by and I have a question, they're more than willing to help because we've built rapport. So who is your intimate? Like, really, this is the people that I get into the nuts and bolts and the nooks and crannies of my life with, and they give me room to vent, but they also challenge me to get outside of that and to problem solve, right? Who are those people who are really there supporting you and loving on you? And then who are your intimate circles of people who are doing that, and maybe you're not connecting with them as regularly, or you're also not being as intimate and vulnerable with them because you don't have to be. Just because you know who you are doesn't mean that everybody needs to know all the aspects of who you are. Some of that is, it's really beautiful, and it's a gift to share that. So you get to decide. But who is that outer circle of internal people? And then who is your external community? Who are those people? And just sometimes writing it down and seeing this list of people reminds us too that we are in fact not alone. The Surgeon General stated that loneliness is an epidemic in this country. And I feel like the reality is we're not alone. We're not. There's 8 billion people on the planet. We've just become disconnected from our ability to be relational and to connect, because I believe we're disconnected from this ability to be relational and connect. And if I can't connect here, it makes it really hard for me to connect with other people here. So I do believe that all things begin and end here, and so this is where we start. And that then we can translate that into our relationships. I can say that I'm a person who loves and brings joy, but that's easy to say if I'm never around other people. And then when I get around other people and I start to build my communities, am I bringing love and joy into those spaces? And then when I do, it reinforces this knowing of who I am, which then makes me want to push that back out into the world, which then brings more of that back to me, which then reinforces who I know myself to be, which makes me want to push that back into the world, which reinforces and brings more of that back to me. You see? So it's these beautiful, intricate circles that we can use to help reduce our stress. Use your community. Use your intimate community, your internal and your external communities to help you reduce your stress, to help you problem solve, to help you figure things out. You're not alone. You're not alone. And I think that that's really important that we just remember that, because a lot of the stress comes from this idea that we're in a silo, and we don't have to be. All right, that's all that I have. I hope that this was useful. If you know someone who can benefit from it, again, please share it. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, get over to my website. Click the purple toolbar on the top of the website. You fill out a short form, and then you'll get these emails weekly, as well as any upcoming workshops or any public events or speaking things that I'm doing, and any other like bonuses, right? They're going to be in your email. So I'm sending you love and light. You're not alone. I'm sending you so much love and light, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I would be honored if you considered me to be a part of your external community, because I have people that I've never met, or that I have met and only for a short amount of times, who are really impactful in how I show up and move through my life. And I consider them part of my external community. So that's it. Sending you love and light. Gotta go. Peace.